Okay, so it's time to talk about Spires. First of all, disclaimer, I have done videos for Spires from 141 and I will hopefully do it all the way until 200 if I am able to complete it. I have completed 181 so far, so there will be videos for 141 to 180, all linked in the pinned comment below if you need any of the other stages. But yeah, for now, in this one, we're gonna be talking about 161 to 170. I'll give you sort of like the requirements on what you need to bring, what strategies I used, and my recommendations. Keep in mind, I am using a cleave, so for other summoners, you may have some additional things, and you may not have some other things. For me, the cleave is, of course, he does have a provoke, so in most cases where you do want to draw attention to a single unit, you may want to bring some sort of a provoke, right? Just keep this in mind. If you are not a cleave player, you have to substitute for what you are missing through units, right? So for 161, this was not too difficult of a stage. This is the team that I used. This was before I even started all charging with the whole Verde Water Fairy combo, right? For this one, it was pretty simple. There isn't too many sort of like difficult to deal with effects. There's critical rate down, there's attack down, and there's defense break, right? You can bring immunity, but in most cases a cleanse will be a bit better because, for example, cleanser, I'm of course referring to Ophelia, since she will be able to, first of all, heal you up, and second of all, she will be able to deflect that as burns, and with those burns you will be able to nuke the bosses quite easily because burns will do a lot in here. Damage over time effects do a lot in general, since most of the non-bosses have only a single health bar, which means they will take the damage a lot. For hair, I focused on the dark dragon first because he has some healing and he has a little bit of damage when he's lower, especially with that endure, so I dealt with him. For the fire hell lady, you will need a strip of some sort, so I quickly switched to my wind cleave new skill 1. I mean, that's the only strip you need, so even if I miss a few, it's not a big deal, right? And for the last thing, you just finish off the fairy queen, and that's about it. Okay, so for 162, what I wrote down is that you will need a strip, a heal, and a anti-revive of some sort. The easiest one to come by will be the Perna, right? And for this stage, I'm focusing on the Pioneer as soon as the match starts because I feel like it's the easiest one to kill. Pioneer in this stage is considered the boss unit, which means Perna's second skill will proc 3 times on it, and yeah, as you can see, 20 seconds and the Pioneer is gone. I think I didn't even have a defense break if I'm not wrong. It's just Perna will do that much damage. After that, the stage is pretty much won. There's really no one doing that much damage. You'll get some harmful effects from the dragon, which are annoying, but there is Ophelia for that. She will heal you up, she will give you defense buff, she'll deflect those burns onto the enemies so they die even faster. I focused on the Hug next, since he will do a lot of healing with his basic attack. And after that, I kill the dragon, and right after the dragon, I will kill the vampire. You obviously can't focus the vampire right off the bat because he has a passive where he will simply not die. So I don't know if it applies in here. You can kill him with dots like I just did. So if you do manage to time it with dots, go for it. But I just thought he really isn't doing much, so I'll just leave him for last. And yeah, I was able to finish the stage with that. And for 163, this was actually quite a simple one because the only real threat in here is the blue Ifrit, the Tiamars, right? And there are 3 revivers. So the only thing you really need in this stage is a little bit of healing and sustain while Tiamars is alive, but once he's dead, honestly, you could probably go no heals and you still wouldn't die because there's really no one doing damage in there. But yeah, speaking about that, you will need some sort of an anti-revive. You can use Perna, however with Perna, here's the deal. You will need to either have a very reliable stripper, because the Tiamars will have like 4 or 5 buffs at all times, and something like Wind Cleave skill 1 simply didn't cut it for me. I tried it for several runs, right? What worked for me is the Dark Amazon, so if you have her, pretty much with whatever she kills, as long as she kills the unit, it will not be able to survive, and it will also ignore any endure he has, right? If you're an Orbia, you can use your Wind skill 1. I don't quite recall it. I have a feeling that Soleta has some sort of an like endure ignoring thing as well, but don't quote me on that. I haven't looked into their skills for quite a while, right? If you don't have any anti-revives like that, try to go for a very reliable Stripper and Perna, that will work as well. And once you kill the Tiamars, the run is pretty much over. After that I focused Iona because she has a very strong heal on her first skill. After Iona I focused on the Pioneer since he has a decent skill, like decent scaling heal on his first skill as well. And I left Archangel for last since his heal is really not that big. It's a single target heal. He has a multi-revive, but obviously since everyone is killed by an anti-reviver, you will not be able to kill anything. And yeah, I'll just leave the run running for a few more seconds, and that's about it for this one. Okay, and for 164, this was sort of like similar to 161, I believe, where we also had the Fire Hell Lady. This one, you have to keep in mind that there will be a lot of buffs in this stage, so you will need a very reliable stripper of some sort. You can also go for block harmful effects, that works, but I just felt that since I have Juno, and Juno will not only do that, but she will also heal and turn everything into dots, I just felt like she would work way better. And as you will see that dots will be a very big majority of the damage that I do in this one. The general strategy here is I essentially just cycled my skills with Fairy and Verdi, and that meant that Juno skills will also get cycled a lot. You can use other units, not just Water Fairy. You can use what's it called, Eleonora, right? My Water Fairy doesn't even have an artifact, so if you do have an artifact it will be even easier. But the main goal here was to essentially kill the Hell Lady as soon as possible, since she is the one doing those nasty defense breaks, and she is the one doing those nasty attack breaks, which both of them lower my damage quite a lot and make it very scary to be alive, I'll tell you that much. After that, I'll focus on the rest of the units. You have to find what's scariest for you. I wouldn't recommend, for example, if you're using a Juno, I wouldn't recommend killing the Pixie and the Martial Cats, because they will be actually buffing your team. Well, not your team, but enemy team. And because of that, Juno will first of all be getting mana, and she will be getting those burns. So the more buffs they apply, the easier it will be to kill. That's probably the main reason why I focused on the Hell Lady as well, since she doesn't do a lot of buffs, she just does a lot of damage. And yeah, focused on the Dragon next, since I feel like he doesn't do enough for me to boost the damage with Juno at least. After that, you can focus on whichever you want, see whichever unit is lower, right? At that point, you pretty much already won as long as you're staying healthy and you have a lot of strips, right? I focused on the Pixie since she was a bit lower, but then I left it alive since maybe she could bring a buff, right? But yeah, just strip, do damage. Up until then, I also never realized that I could use Cliff's skill 2 for the water element for defense break, so my runs took a bit long. If I started using that, it would have been way more efficient, yeah. But regardless, I managed to kill it. Just strip, really, the stage, strip, and you will be able to win it, especially with Juno. Alright, and now 165. So this is definitely one of the easier stages, since you can manage it a little bit easier. There's like no need to focus on everything at once, right? For this one, again, I went with the ultimate cycle with Fairy and Verdi, and then for Ophelia with the cleanse, right? So the only thing you really need here is a very reliable cleanse, right? I wouldn't recommend going for immunity to prevent those dots, because the fire itself does have a 2 buff strips, so if you just rely on that, it might not be the best. However, if you bring something like a Shushu, the Light Howl, who can not only apply immunity but also strip all dots, or not strip all dots, but cleanse all dots, that would probably work as well. And for the stage itself, I made a mistake on focusing on the Lich, but I realized that focusing on the fire itself would be way better, because he is pretty much the only reliable stripper in this enemy team, which means that once that is gone, not only can you use stuff like immunity, but you'll just be able to keep up the buffs a little bit better in general. And also there's no risk of that instant burn. I'm gonna stop it right here. There's no risk of that instant burn going off, right? And once the Hell Lady is alive, only the Hell Lady is alive, I have switched out to any stripper that I had. So I personally planned on using the Tiana, so I ruined her up in the lobby, right? And the reason to do this is because usually you would be able to kill the like Hell Lady, but as a boss, she buffs up like every 5 seconds if I'm not wrong. So yeah, you're gonna have to get some sort of a reliable stripper, go for something like Juno, Tiana, right? You definitely can't go wrong with any of these. Okay, and 166. So what you'll need for this one is you will sort of need to nuke a unit quite fast, and the one you will be nuking is the Wind Fox Arang. It should be quite easy to nuke since the boss is considered like a boss creature, which means Perna will be able to deal with it super easily. I made a mistake of dealing with the Harpy first, and then the Fox got a bit scared. As you can see, once she starts stacking those harmful effects, you will be receiving a lot of damage, you will be receiving quite a bit of destroys. So yeah, the faster you kill her, after that, it's really not too difficult. I will say this, don't bring any immunity into the stage. There's 2 strippers there. The Fire Cowgirl will be able to strip immunity, as well as the Wind Fox is actually able to strip immunity with her passive, which means she can remove it with just her basic attack. So no matter how much you buff up the immunity, while all of the units are alive, you will not have any immunity in there, right? And if you do have the ability, also see if you can bring some sort of a reliable dot cleanse. Something like Shushu can work as well if you're not confident in your healing ability, right? And also if you notice that if it takes a little bit too long to kill that Arang, once she is dead, you can run around a bit, since this stage definitely will not take a long time. As you can see, I've done in less than a minute, right? You can switch some sort of an anti-destroy unit. So whether that's the set, I'm not even sure if the anti-destroy set works in non-PvP content, right? If you don't have that, go for something like a Light Paladin or the Fire Archangel, and you can just heal up all of that destroyed effect that you have. But yeah, general idea, nuke Arang as fast as possible, and after that you will be able to easily sustain it. Just don't bring any immunity, as that will clearly not work too much. And for 167, what you will want in your team is a Masha. It doesn't have to be a Masha, I just found out that the block beneficial effect is extremely effective in the stage, right? On top of that, you will of course want some kind of a cleanse and maybe immunity here and there, right? As it will help you prevent those dots a bit. But yeah, you really want a Masha there. I have not been using a Masha. I saw Masha being used in the leaderboards. I thought maybe I can get away with it without it, right? Like it can be that good. Trust me, it's that good. Beneficial effect block in here is game changing. It actually quite literally saved the run and made it super easily, right? But yeah, the general idea here is to focus on the Fairy King first. You can try to use something like a Perna to nuke him even faster, since he is a boss creature as well, and after that focus on the Dark Beetle. Because the Dark Beetle is the only beetle there that actually has extreme kill potential, right? Like if you no longer have immunity and if he starts stacking his poison, one unlucky explosion and yeah, your whole team could be dead. So definitely make sure to try to keep immunity as much as possible, and make sure that the moment you see some dots coming through to your team, especially poison, instantly cleanse that off. Shushu worked the best for me. I also brought Animal. She provided some defense break for the damage. She did a little bit of healing, right? But the main reason I chose her is for that fear. In case the Dark Beetle accidentally manages to fear me with his passive, Annual would instantly cleanse that since it is a CC effect, right? But it doesn't have to be Annual. As long as you bring Shushu and Masha, the third unit can really be anything you have. You should be able to deal with this quite easily. Okay, so for 168, what you'll want to bring is really sort of like general good units that you have. What I would recommend is having some sort of an immunity if you can. It's definitely not a must, but I found that immunity definitely works pretty well, and as long as you have a lot of cleanse and a lot of heal, you should be okay. Now, a very key unit in this one was Verad, because the goal here is to kill the Joker as soon as possible. There's quite a lot of strip, however all units are fire, so if you do bring a full water team, yes, there's a lot of strip, but they may fail quite a bit, right? But the Joker, once he lands that bombs, it doesn't matter what your element is, you will potentially die from that bomb damage, right? So focus on the Joker first, and I found that Verad was an amazing pick for this because he was able to stack those defense breaks a lot, and he was able to just kill that Joker quite fast, right? You will see me getting a lot of harmful effects, all of that, and that's where Annabelle came really clutch, since I was just able to heal with her quite consistently. As you can see, yes, I dropped to Endure. It's no joke, like those Sylphs burn explode is no joke, so right after the Joker, I highly recommend focusing on the Sylphs if you can. There isn't really any provoke, but the Paladin might be a little bit annoying. That's mostly where you have Annabelle and Wusa come through. For pretty much the whole run, I spammed my Annabelle's skill 1 just to cleanse those darts, so you will need a lot of cleanse. I didn't want to bring Ophelia because I wanted to keep my team full water, and hoping that the enemies wouldn't be able to deal too many harmful effects on me and all that, right? But yeah, I don't know, it worked out pretty well. I would say this was one of the hardest stages for sure, from what I've played until now, right? But yeah, the Vera damage alone was just able to completely destroy the whole run, right? The defense break, he does a lot of CC. If you put a CC artifact on him, not only does he do a lot of damage, but while his skills work, right? Like the knockback, the mobs fall, they slowly fall onto the ground, which means they cannot use skills on you. After that, he will freeze, which means they cannot use skills on you again. So yeah, if you do have some sort of a unit which block harmful effect removal as well, you can try to make use of it here, as it will prevent both Ophelia and Juno from cleansing those effects quite easily. I mean, it's not a PvP where you will get mana and be able to infinite cleanse. They will only cleanse one unit and then their skill will be on cooldown, so it's not too big of a deal. And yeah, by the way, for this one, you see it's a challenge. I actually, for the first run, I also did it with Ophelia instead of Annabelle, but I forgot to record it, and I couldn't bring any fire units, so I actually made it work with Annabelle as well. You can use Ophelia in here if you want to, it will work just fine. Okay, now 169. So I'll say this was one of the easier stages, but only because I'm a Cleave. I will say this stage definitely benefits Cleave users quite a bit, because your Water Cleave will be able to completely destroy this whole stage, but don't worry, other Summon X should work just as fine, as long as you bring the correct monsters, right? So there will be a lot of provoke in here. I try to play around the provoke and bring my units away, so that at least the Vagabonds and the Ifrit stacked up. But I just figured that, trust me, it's not worth it. You will not be able to avoid all of those provokes. There's really no point in bringing immunity either, since those Hell Ladies will just permanently strip it. So what I just did is I basically just relied on the Ophelia's second skill. I cleansed as much as I could, I healed as much as I could, and I just slowly chipped all of them away with Burn. You'll see that I'm not really doing much damage. All I'm doing, I'm even ulting with Ophelia. As long as you keep cleansing with her and she will keep applying those burn stacks, you will be just fine. Trust me, you will be just fine. You'll slowly chip away the Ifrit, especially if you are able to hit him in between those provokes and cleanses. Then you'll finish both of the Vagabonds slowly, since they don't really have any protection, right? Like they will provoke you, but they will slowly just die to all of the dots, especially since they have defense buffs. Killing them with dots is even easier, and once only the two Hell Ladies were left, again, just like the previous round, I do recommend switching to some sort of a unit that can deal with them. I tried Tiana, I will say this, two of them is a bit too dangerous, and I wasn't able to sustain it by using Tiana second skill, so instead what I did is I runed up a Cassie. Her damage goes through beneficial effects, and it was a bit slower, but she was able to just deal with those Hell Ladies through that invincibility, right? And she was able to finish the run quite easily. It doesn't have to be Cassie, can be any unit that goes through invincibility. That's just the best that I had. And 170. Oh, it looks like a difficult stage, but I'll say this, it's probably one of the easiest ones from the new rotation at least. And yeah, with this team, you'll notice that no units on that team have any strip at all. So what you'll just want to do is buff up immunity, and you have one. Your goal is to pretty much just keep up that immunity all of the time, right? How I did it is I did the old cycling method with Fairy and Verdehill, right? That way, after two buffs, Wusa will be able to buff his second shield, and one more skill, Verde will have his ult, and after that, I'll just be able to spam Fairy's second skill, which means that Wusa will be able to buff up his immunity every like few seconds, and after that you just chip away slowly, but you will be able to kill it, right? Again, I didn't realize that my Water Cleave has a defense break on his second skill, so I'm still not using it here, but yeah, that made the runs a bit slower. But then again, there's no strip, they cannot absolutely do anything to you as long as you have immunity, so bring immunity, bring a tiny bit of some sort of a healing or shielding ability. Honestly, you probably wouldn't even need a heal as long as you're able to upkeep something like Wusa's shield. You'll see that most of my units are not even getting their shields broken, since the enemy simply does no damage. And yeah, honestly, not much to say here. I'll just leave the run running, and yeah, that's about it for the Spires 161 to 170. If you wanna check out the rest of the stages and the continuation from 171 to 180, and maybe even further if I do complete it by then, all of them in the pinned comment. Yeah, hope you enjoyed, and peace.